Welcome to Randy's Corner. I'm your host, Randy Clark. I got a special guest with me today. Her name is Kay Jennings, Executive Director of the TCR Child Care Corporation. But I got a couple of little announcements I want to make right quick. Is that okay with you?
That works for
All
me.
right. I want to tell you about a couple of cleanups we got this week. I got the Comer football team is going to be helping me clean up around the city on Wednesday. They're also going to be doing a lot of other community service. And this is something that Coach Fawcett does every year. So you small business owners, you just remember when they come in asking for some water or something, remember that they had a community service day. And also, the Beautification Council will be cleaning up around town on Saturday. Now, sorry about that. Good morning, Kay.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing good.
I'm so glad you came in.
I am so glad you invited me.
You're one of my favorite guests.
Well, thank you so much.
All right. Now, how long has TCR served our community?
TCR has had Head Start in Sylacauga and Child Care in Sylacauga for 30 plus years. I've worked there for 23 years, and the center was there well before that. So we've tried to determine when we actually started serving children at the Drew Court Child Development Center, and we couldn't find the initial lease paperwork. So it's 30 plus years.
But it is a big part of our community.
It is a big part of our community. We've had a lot of children go through that center in its heyday, back when we had the portable classrooms. We would serve 200 plus children a year.
Right.
So that was a lot.
Speaking of the children, what age children are eligible for this program?
For Drew Court and a lot of our other centers, we have Childersburg, and we have a center in Coosa County Central Elementary, or it's at Central High School. Those centers, Drew Court and Central, serve children aged 6 weeks up till 5 years of age.
Okay.
So we have a state-funded pre-K program that strictly serves 4-year-olds. So they leave our Head Start program. They go from 6 weeks to age 3. They graduate out of that preschool Head Start program. They go into the state-funded first-class pre-K classroom. They're 4 there, and then when they leave there, they leave hopefully ready for kindergarten at the public school that they're attending. So,
that's wonderful. What curriculum is used in teaching?
We use Frog Street. Frog Street is developmentally appropriate. It is a curriculum that starts from birth and goes through age 5. It focuses on just the different developmental stages that children go through. It has the assessment so that our teachers know, are children doing, are they developmentally where they're supposed to be? And if they're not, ways that we can work with parents, early intervention, school systems, other programs to get the services those children need, because if we get it for them when they're young, then they're less likely to need it once they get into public schools. So the earlier you find things or discover things, the more services you can provide. And it's almost like preventive maintenance or preventive care is getting services to children as soon as they need them or when they need them.
Okay. How can a parent enroll their child?
It's real easy. That's very easy. We do all of our enrollment online, but the best way to start is to call the centers. So if you live here in the Sylacauga area and you have an infant or toddler, you may be interested in reaching out to Drew Court Child Development Center, and you would speak to, I have to look down, Miss Belinda Curry. That number's 256-369-1522. And again, it's Miss Curry, and she can tell you what you need to do to get your child enrolled. If you want to go to our Coosa program, which is right there in Hanover, again, that's in the Central High School, you would reach out to Miss Jennifer Adams, and that number is 256-377-8048. And they can tell you exactly what you need to do to get your child enrolled.
Okay.
We also have a center in Childersburg. I do not have that phone number, but you can go on our website. All this information is available on TCR's website. And our website's www.TCR Childcare Corporation, all
Okay.
spelled out, .org.
Okay.
But we have a lot of information there about the services we provide and how to enroll your child.
Okay, great. Now, you talked about Childersburg, Drucourt, and Costa County. Could you go into a little bit on how they serve our community and how important it is?
Yes, sir. The services that we provide at all of our centers are targeted to low-income families, so there's no cost associated with it. And I truly believe that all children deserve the same chance at a good education. And research is starting to show that the earlier you start with children, the more likely they are to succeed in public school, throughout public school, starting as early as kindergarten all the way through 12th grade, and then beyond that to workforce development and college and or either military, whatever they choose to do. So the sooner we can get children enrolled and get them prepared, not only do we look at them from a cognitive standpoint, we want to teach our children, but it's also, we sometimes neglect to think about how important it is for our children to socialize and be among their peers and be in that setting, that formal setting of a classroom where they're getting acclimated to what to expect in kindergarten.
Right.
And again, our children deserve. I take a lot of pride. We have really great centers. We have, in my opinion, have some of the best looking centers probably in the state of Alabama. And I think our children deserve that.
Sure they do.
And when I say our children, I mean all children.
Right.
No matter their income, their social economic class, or anything like that. Our children in Sylacauga deserve to go to a center if you thought you were standing in the middle of Mountain Brook.
Right.
And that's my target.
Right.
Our teachers are certified, our teachers are credentialed, our teachers all have to have specific training in child development to meet the Head Start Act.
Right.
And it can be difficult and it can be frustrating because it's hard to find teachers. But at the end of the day, those teachers have a better understanding of you have to scribble before you can write. You're not born into this world knowing how to hold a pen like this.
Exactly.
You have to get the fine motor skills, and that might mean that you do a lot of scribbling. If you can't tear a piece of paper, if you can't do this and tear a piece of paper, then you don't have the fine motor skills to cut a piece of paper with using a pair of scissors.
Right.
So everything, there's developmental stages. It's just like with an infant. All the little milestones that infants go through, that they're born and they're just completely dependent on mommy and daddy, and then they start rolling over, and then they start getting some tummy control, and they can sit up, and then when they sit up, then they start rocking, and next thing you know, they're crawling, and they're standing, and they're walking. Everything throughout a child's life, everything is just that.
Right.
It's a developmental process.
Right.
And if you don't understand that developmental process, as a teacher, it can be really frustrating because you may do an activity called a cutting activity, and you have some children that just don't have the fine motor skills yet. And you get a little aggravated because, well, they're struggling to cut, but it's because they need the opportunity just to sit and rip up some paper.
Right.
They've got to get something that they can squeeze to develop those fine motors. And I have to stress how important it is for children to play.
Yes, yes. And something that you mentioned in this, the social skills part.
Mm-hmm.
Very important. Very super important because, like you said, mom and daddy, grandma and grandpa, they take such good care of them when they're little, but they also, one day, they're going to come out into the real world. They're going to get a real job. They're going to be around. They got to go to the grocery store, learn how to count money, And those social skills are so important. Could you speak on that for a minute?
Be happy to. I want everybody, if you're listening this morning, to think about a puppy. Think about a puppy. How often do you hear people talk about, oh, well, he's still a puppy, he's chewing on things. He's still a puppy, he's playful. He's
Right.
this, that, or the other. Children need to play. They need to play in groups. They need to learn how to get along in a social setting. COVID has taught us a lot about isolation.
Right.
And that it's not good. It's not good for us.
Right.
It's not good for anybody. It's not good for an adult, but it's especially not good for children. Children need to be amongst their peers. They need to be playing. They need to learn how to work out conflict. They need to learn how to communicate with one another, work in a group, and then also working independently.
Right.
Childcare can teach all of those skills. It's so, I can't stress it enough, it's through productive play.
Right.
We oftentimes have families come in and say, well, these children just play all the time. It is productive led play. It is how we get along in a housekeeping setting, that this is what the kitchen is for, this is what the little living room is for. How do we act? How do we work as a team to make our living space productive? How do we build in the blocks?
Right.
How do you work as a team to stack blocks? And if somebody bumps it and the blocks fall, that we learn to pick up and start over. Because
Right.
oftentimes, and that's a really big concept for young children, and it takes a while to get there.
Right.
But it's such an important concept because we live in a world where everything's just instant gratification, and we want our children to be problem solvers. We don't want to tell our children, color the pants blue, they have to be colored blue, the shirt has to be colored red, his hair has to be blonde.
Right.
Because I have on black pants today, and that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's,
Great.
it's a decision.
Great. Okay, we got about 1 minute left, and I got one more question for you.
Sure.
Are there any job opportunities in the program? I know they are, but could you tell them how they can apply, and you go into it.
Yes, there's always job opportunities. I want to stress that if you come to work for TCR, Chehaw Regional Head Start Program, there are ample job opportunities, but more important than that is we participate in a state-funded Teach Scholarship. So if you want to become a teacher and you may have limited resources or you don't want to go in debt getting a college student loan, we can help you go to school. We can help you go and get your 4-year degree in early childhood education or child development to very little cost. 10%
Right.
is all it would cost the person who's working.
Pretty good program.
Pretty good program. 10%. If I could have paid 10% for my college education, I think I'd have been pretty happy with that.
Right.
But we start you out. If you don't have a degree, if you don't have a certificate, and you come to work and you show up and you take an interest in it, then we can help you go to school and get your education, and that could be just a life-altering, changing thing because there's a lot of opportunities in early childhood right now.
Right.
A lot of job opportunities that are not even just strictly the classroom.
Okay. Okay, unfortunately, we're out of time. I could sit here and talk to you all day.
Well, I think I could do the same.
Let's do it again, okay?
We will.
Thank you so much for coming in. And don't forget about pickleball on the Sylacauga tennis courts on Tuesday nights. And also, please do not litter. We'll see you next week.